We'll call the City of Coalinga Planning Commission meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Or any changes to the agenda, Sean?
Yeah, Chairman, just wanted to acknowledge, we're in a transition on our agenda software, and so as you can see, it has kind of the wrong list on the roll call, so we'll reflect that in the minutes. But the roll call should reflect Chairman Stoppingbrink, Vice Chair Hill, and then Commissioner Helmar, Papiatro, and Yaden on this, for the record.
And Sean
As well as myself, yeah, as well as myself and Marissa, who is now in Lemoore. So we're hoping to have that changed soon. It's just that they've been having some issues with their system and being able to update this as we transition to the new software. So
Okay, good.
we may not even see that in the next iteration of it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Chairman Stoppenbrink,
Present?
Vice Chairman Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Helmar, excuse me, Commissioner Papietro,
Here?
Commissioner Yaden.
Here. Yeah, that's the other thing, we don't have our new commissioner on there either, do we?
We do on the record.
On the record, but not, okay, but not, okay. You're really here, present, you know, okay. I got it.
Not in writing.
Public comments under Code, Government Code Section 549, 54.3, members of the audience may address the commission on any item of interest to the public or on any agenda item before or during the commission's consideration of the item. State law prohibits the planning commission from acting on non-agenda items. So is there any public comments? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and that's the meeting approval for August the 13th. The Chair will entertain a motion for approval.
I motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, and that includes the minutes, is that correct?
And any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. Public hearing, we're going to have a consideration for a resolution 042P-008, which approves a conditional use permit and a variance application, CUP 2404, with conditions for the construction of a new 80-foot cellular monopine with associated ground-mounted equipment at 200 Cambridge Avenue. So Sean, you want to walk us through any,
Yeah, and I wanted to just mention Commissioner Hill, or Vice Chair Hill, will not be able to participate in this item as he's a signatory on the application. So he does unfortunately have to go into the back room during the item.
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, hell, I could have stayed home.
but you wouldn't have got your
Got your
$50.
$50.
Will you call me back?
I'll come and get you.
We'll take
Maybe.
that under consideration.
Gee, I feel like I've been expelled.
I didn't know he was I didn't look
Yeah.
at the application to see if,
Yeah,
who signed it.
yeah, he signed as the
On
owner.
behalf of the elk.
Well, he's, yeah, still as an Elk member.
Hey, Sean, just one quick question while you're looking through there. The other tower that's behind Dollar General, is that an 80-foot also?
It's 74, I
Okay,
think.
so they're close.
Yes, something
Okay.
very
I'll
close.
try
I
and
think
zap
it's
it up.
actually, I think I may have put it in the staff report, because typically what we do is we identify the other locations,
Yeah.
so. But, so I'll go ahead and get started. It looks like we got everybody here. So tonight, we're recommending to the Planning Commission to approve a resolution for an application for a conditional use permit, including a variance based on findings and subject to conditions of approval. So on August 26th, the city began processing an application for a conditional use permit and a variance for the construction of a new telecommunications monopine cellular facility to be located at the Elks Lodge at 200 Cambridge Avenue. The property is currently zoned mixed use with the general plan designation of mixed use where telecommunication facilities are permitted, subject to a conditional use permit. In addition to the CUP, a variance is required for the height increase in order to facilitate enhanced coverage in the city related to this monopine. In terms of, I kind of break down what the conditional use, purpose of the conditional use permit is and what the purpose is in terms of for telecommunication and wireless services. It basically just requires special consideration to ensure that it's been designed, located, and operated in a manner that will not interfere with the use and enjoyment of the surrounding properties. The variances are intended to provide a mechanism for relief from strict application of this title of the code, where strict applications will deprive property owner of privileges enjoyed by similar properties because of the subject property's unique and special conditions. Again, we always consider the California Environmental Quality Act when we prepare these documents, and we have prepared an environmental analysis as part of this land use application. And we also send out comment requests to departments for comments initially internally, and then we also send out public hearing notices to all the property owners. And as of this hearing tonight, we have not received any comments back from the public or anybody that were recently notified of the public hearing. So Verizon's proposing the construction of a new 80-foot cellular tower. It's a faux monopine tree and the associated ground mountain equipment at 200 Cambridge Avenue. The proposed unmanned telecommunication facility consists of 9 Verizon panel antennas and associated equipment to be mounted at 72 feet and 73.9 feet centerline, 2 microwave antennas at 52 centerline, and an 80-foot tall monopine to resemble a pine tree. Top of steel would be approximately 75 feet, with the remaining 5 feet in height consisting of an artificial branches that make up the monopine crown. This is necessary to kind of stealth the antennas while maintaining the tapered look of a natural tree. The 60 by 35 equipment area will be surrounded by a 6-foot tall chain link fence with vinyl slats. The lease area will contain a walk-in cabinet and 30 kW steel diesel generator installed on the new concrete pad, along with a 132-gallon diesel fuel storage tank. Power and telecommunication cables will be installed underground within the leased area and into the monopine. All antenna arrays, wiring equipment will be encased inside the monopine trunk and enclosure, and the monopine is designed to appear just like a large pine tree with sufficient foliage to conceal the antenna arrays. So in terms of looking at the surrounding areas, we've got West Hills College to the south. To the north, we have industrial and future mining operations of granite. To the west, we have public facilities, which is a storm basin and the sports complex of the Kalinga Huron Parks and Rec. And then to the east, we have existing commercial, which is the Cambridge Hotel. So when we look at standards and requirements for telecommunication facilities, it's all spelled out in our specific uses regulations section of the code, which is section 9-5. Telecommunications facilities fall under 0.125. And it kind of breaks down all the requirements. It helps us with the application process, but it also helps us make sure they have all the documents necessary to review these projects. So just in terms of the requirements and the proposed project, I've kind of broken it down into basically into a chart, so you can kind of see what the requirement is right out of the code and also what's in the proposed project. And as you can see, everything that's required as part of the application has either been identified and provided or has been included as a condition of approval. So just to highlight a couple in terms of what are conditioned, which is basically making sure that there's a co-location agreement in place, making the facility available for other users, if at all possible. And that was condition number 9, that basically prior to issuance of a building permit, they'll provide us a copy of the co-location agreement, which will be reviewed and approved by the city attorney to ensure that we have that on file, to ensure that if anybody is, requesting co-location, that's available for them. Another one is an abandoned agreement. So if these particular facilities go abandoned or they're vacant for a year or discontinued, they're required to be decommissioned. And so the condition of approval is to basically provide a copy of that abandoned agreement, which ensures we can call on that if in fact that becomes an issue.
What does decommissioned mean?
Essentially remove.
Okay.
Yeah. And then some of the other ones, there's also one related to the maximum height in the district. As you recall, I think some of the commissioners may have been on when we had, in 2020, when we had the AT&T tower. We had to issue a variance because there's nowhere in town that we allow 80-foot buildings. So it's typical in these circumstances, and just, you know, you see in other jurisdictions that they allow for these height variances based on telecommunications and the need for that additional coverage. So there's a variance attributed to that. And then we also look at proximities to property lines of residentially zoned properties and so on, in terms of, you know, screening these from public view. So a lot of these items have all been addressed in the application. And I can take any specific questions you guys have regarding that. I mentioned also that we did public notification on October 10th. We put out public hearing notices to properties within 300 feet. And as of today, we have not received any comments from anybody that received those public notices. In terms of environmental review, we do review it under the California Environmental Quality Act. And we found that this would fall under the exemption of the new construction or conversion of small structures, which falls under the CEQA guidelines of 15303. So once this is approved, then staff would proceed forward with filing that with Fresno County and also putting that uploaded onto CEQAnet. And so as we get into like the reasons for recommendations, there's 3 separate finding categories. One is specifically the telecommunication findings. Those are built into the regulations and basically talks about, you know, that the facilities will provide a public benefit to the city, that the radio frequency report demonstrates that the facility is within the public exposure, the facility is visually compatible with the building it is attached to, or the neighborhood and surroundings, and in compliance with the standards for visual compatibility. If a new location is being proposed, the applicant has demonstrated that co-location is not possible, which has been shown in one of the attached documents, and any other required findings of the conditional use permit, which then comes to the second general findings that you see in all of our conditional use permits, which is general plan consistency, neighborhood compatibility, and an asset for the neighborhood. And then lastly, there we have discussion regarding the variance and the findings behind the variance, which basically has to do with the height requirement. And so we've provided some reasoning behind the findings on the 3 variants. I'm saying findings a lot, I apologize. But reasoning behind each of the findings for the variance. And so with that, I have provided a copy of the photo simulations, the applications, the site drawings, the radio frequency report, network coverage map, and the possible co-location sites. Just to touch on the possible co-location, one of the challenges with co-location was that what we learned from limiting the height on the AT&T tower is it made it very challenging for co-location on that tower due to the height and due to the necessary spread at the 70, I think it was at 70 feet or 74 feet. So with the request at 80 feet, this will actually allow for additional co-location for other users below that 80 feet. Where I think there's been some challenges with that AT&T tower. So in the future, we may see a request for a height exemption to increase that. But as of right now, we haven't. But we feel like the 80-foot was a good height for the request at this location. So with that, this is a public hearing, Chairman, if you'd like to open that up, and then I could take any questions from the commission.
I have a few questions before I open that up.
Sure.
Number one, if the old airport was still there, that potentially could have been an issue because of the proximity to what is now owned by Granite?
It could have been.
Likely not.
I don't know enough about, until we actually get close enough to an airport, which I think is within a mile. I think we have to analyze the height and how close we are to an airport.
Yeah, it's a moot point, but I was just curious.
Yeah, we may have had to analyze that a little bit more. I don't know if it would have been a problem or not in that proximity, but I would have had to do a little bit more research to see if that may have been a
The other
problem.
question I had is, you mentioned something about a diesel tank. I didn't quite, did I miss?
So there's fuel for the generator. So they have they always have backup generators. So in case of a power outage, they're able to run that generator in case of a power outage.
Okay.
So they can maintain cell service. So they'll have a small tank. So they have some diesel fuel so they can run that generator when needed.
And the last question I have for you with respect to the creek and the flood, potential flood, when it has flooded back there before. So has that been looked into with respect to?
There's no
tower?
concern of floodwaters getting to that point. Even after we saw the recent floods, it didn't get nearly close to that area of where they're actually going to be constructing this. And from what we understand, that may have been close to a 200-year event that we actually saw. So we saw that we have, knock on wood, extra capacity, but I don't know if we want to see that. But I did hear that, I did read some things that was near a 200-year flood, which we actually only anticipate and look at floodplain management for 100-year floods. So,
I don't plan on living another 200 years.
well, no, the 200-year, we don't see it, but usually you do see it within that 100 years. But yes, so we don't anticipate any flood issues
Well, I
in
had
that area.
heard that when the last big flood occurred, long before I moved here, the Post Chenet area was all underwater.
There may have been some changes, and I know that area is not in the flood zone anymore, as well as the area in Merced. There was a lot of adjustments to the creeks to actually allow more flow, and I think even now they've scoured out quite a bit. There's a lot more capacity in those creeks, but yeah, there's no concern. These aren't in flood-prone areas.
Any question before I open the public hearing?
Just a quick one.
Sure.
When do they propose this being operational?
I think Austin, sorry. It's having a terrible time here. It was Philip. Yeah. Philip, are you on?
I am here, yes. Hello.
There you go. You can ask him if you like.
I was just curious when the tower will be operational for usage for Verizon customers.
Hard for me to say because we still have to go through that building permit process, but it's in this 2025 build plan year, so I would assume quarter two would be the best guess of next year. Would be construction and powering up.
Well, I was just wondering, like a ballpark, like in 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, because, you know.
I would say like April to June of 2025.
Okay, that's reasonable.
7 months.
Yeah, once we get the plans in plan check, they go relatively quick. I know sometimes once they get approval, we see some delays in getting plans together and submitted. That's why you could see we got this application in August. Sometimes there's a little bit of lag time in our requests for additional information and their responses. So when they're dealing with large companies like Verizon, it's not like they can just go next door and ask for a document and get it. So it takes a little bit of time. That was my experience on the previous one. So I would imagine, yeah, like he mentioned, if they're talking that time, that's probably by next summer, probably.
Okay, yeah, that's why I said about a ballpark figure, you know, give or take a few months.
I have some questions.
You have a question? Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, why the pine tree? I mean, could understand that if we were on the edge of a forest or in a forest, but why not just make it a communication tower?
I think we do require
We
the monopine in
require
our
it to
code.
look like that?
Yeah, we require it. I think it's based on what people consider, but our code requires a monopine.
Oh, okay.
Cheesy. Yeah, I think it's just aesthetically, I don't know if I guess it's everyone's.
Okay, if it's required, that's fine. Now, the requirement for co-location, Verizon was not able to co-locate with anybody else for strategic reasons or something, right? Will this requirement in the variance or the CUP require them to allow somebody else there, or will it once again be maybe yes, maybe no?
It'll be required to allow them to have it as long as what it is they have to just have it open to allow co-location. So if say T-Mobile can go in below them at a lower height based on where it's available, and they say we can go in there, they should be allowing access. I mean, barring negotiations and everything else for leases, but they have to be open to allow it. It can't be exclusive to Verizon.
Okay. And what will the impact be on other users, like people who have AT&T or some other company? What will those people notice with Verizon's tower?
It probably won't affect them at all.
Not at
No,
all?
unless AT&T puts antennas on that tower or T-Mobile, it's only going to probably, at this point, will improve Verizon cell service.
But won't
Unless-
interfere with anybody else?
No, it shouldn't. Oh, no, that should never be the case. I think there was a lot of discussion about that when AT&T put their tower up, but that was not the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, are the Elks being paid for the use of their land?
I'm not privy to that information. Typically, they have leases with landowners, but I'm not privy to all the information on that.
They probably are, but wouldn't know the terms or conditions of
Yeah.
that.
Okay. That's it? Thank you.
All right, at this time I'll open the public hearing for consideration of Resolution 024P-008. Is there anybody in the audience or on the phone that would like to speak in favor or against this resolution? Please state your name for the record and start speaking. Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. All right, any further questions from our city manager about this issue? What
For me?
point- As I said, any other further questions for our city manager?
Oh,
at this
For,
point?
I thought you said for.
You're not used to being the city manager, right?
I was confused too.
I thought you said.
Or Verizon, yeah. When do you bring Richard back in? After we take?
After you vote, yeah.
Okay, all right. So at this point, the chair will entertain a motion for approval of this resolution.
I motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Helmar,
Aye.
Commissioner Papietro,
Aye.
Commissioner Yaden,
Aye.
and Chairman Stoppenbrink.
Aye. Okay, so let's bring Richard back in for the next part of the agenda, please.
I think this is a good project for both the landowner and the community, so I think it's a win-win.
Yeah,
So-
it's well needed.
Yep.
Yep.
These take a long time too.
Oh, yeah.
What
I've
doesn't?
talked to them for a while about this they've been
Working behind
hunting
the
for
scenes.
locations for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that location.
I
'cause
do too.
That's perfect.
It picks us.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome back, Richard. We are on FYI, we approve the resolution. We are at the area of discussion and/or potential action items. Sean, do we have
None.
anything?
Nope.
Commissioners, anything you'd like to see in the way of potential action items or agenda items for the future?
I guess just, it'd be nice to have an update on what's been going on. We've had so few meetings lately that, some of the projects that we have approved or we've read about, what's taking place out there with those, like the little strip mall down where Starbucks was gonna go down by
Cambridge, I mean,
Cambridge, or, by
Cherry
College,
and,
Cherry.
yeah,
and the Kmart project and some of those other projects that are out there.
I can give a quick update on my announcements too.
and the subdivision over in what I call
Sure.
wine country.
Yeah, and your bike path project?
Yeah. I'll give a brief update tonight, and then I can give you guys more of a comprehensive update
Yeah,
at
that's
a
fine.
future meeting.
Just hit the highlights is good for me.
Great.
Is there anything we can put on the agenda about beautifying the downtown area? As far as in landscaping or signage or something?
It's not really in the purview of the commission on that. It's more on the city council side to direct
Okay.
staff to, for that. Yeah, because it's more of that's more on a policy side or on a, direction to expend funds to do beautification. So that's probably something more in the purview of the council
Okay.
for something like that. But if there's things that you're interested in, either go through them or talk to me. And I think that's definitely something we're looking at right now.
Right, because it's been a while since we've really done too much, and
Yeah.
I know down the main strip, there's places where there's trees missing, where there's trees before, and just,
I'll give you an update on that too.
Oh, okay. All right, that's it.
Okay. Department reports.
So I'll give a quick update if you guys,
Yeah,
if
go
anybody
ahead.
had anything else. Do you have anything else, Richard? No. Okay. So in terms of projects, the Starbucks project has approved plans. Civils are going through plan check with Caltrans for their access although everything else is moving forward. So civil's on site and the construction drawings are approved. I'm anticipating, I don't know exactly when construction is expected to start, but I would imagine maybe start seeing something in the next few months. Wintertime can sometimes wreak havoc on construction starts, so you may have some delays there. But they are when you're dealing with companies like Starbucks, they're wanting to see things move quickly. So I know the developer is, really excited to move forward and wanting to move forward.
Is that a company-owned store or a private investor?
It will be, it'll be a corporate store and then it's leased out by the developer. So I don't think Starbucks franchises, so they're pretty much all owners. I mean, it's all corporate
With the exception
stores.
of the one down there now is owned by the company.
They're all, I think all Starbucks are corporate stores, but they lease to developers, so they don't actually typically always own the building. So they'll build to suit, but then they lease it out. Because typically when you see developers, if there's a developer building it, they're in the business of building to suit. They want to have that rent money. So, the other tenant, they have not secured any future tenant in the second location, but they are actively looking for another tenant. The old Kmart, we have tenant improvements that are being in plan check right now. My last communication with the developer is that they're basically just negotiating negotiating means that they're getting there. There's an agreement on the table, but it's just getting all the nuances out, and these can take quite a while.
Are they the same entities that were discussed in the past, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So you still have the Ross, you still have the Five Below, and the grocery outlet.
Okay.
So those are the three that are still in the works, but we are receiving tenant improvements. So there's construction drawings, there's money being spent, so that's positive. So hopefully we're going to see something move. I have not received an update on as terms of when that's going to start though.
Now, what about the standalones that were supposed to be in that?
Nothing new on the standalones. So no one has commitment on the standalones as of right now. The subdivision on Merced out there, they are starting to do some at-risk permitting. They've got to get their air board permits because we can't let them do any work till they get their air board permits. They've got to get clearance so they can start moving dirt. They want to start putting utilities in there. We soon should be receiving the final map application for the subdivision. From what I understand, they're hoping to start selling homes by summer of next year.
Oh, I saw some pipe out there, but, so the infrastructure's not even in yet then, right?
No, no. So all that infrastructure came out early when they wanted to start the old area. And then they decided to pivot and basically say, hey, it's going to be a lot easier to build in that cul-de-sac and build that out. So they're moving forward with that. So we'll probably start seeing, I would imagine, some movement here in the next couple months on that one.
Well, I'm curious about that. I forgot to ask when they were here. Where do they expect these new homeowners to be coming from? There's no really growth in the city.
Yeah, there is pent-up demand. I mean, if you talk to some real estate agents, there's a lot of demand for housing, and we're just not seeing that move. We are seeing some people, move from one place to another. That's kind of what we saw. We saw a migration of people from housing to apartments when these apartments opened up. So
But there's no new businesses is what I'm getting at. There are probably a lot of renters would like to buy.
there's still a lot of people relocating here to locate here from
Oh, from other-
areas that are extremely expensive. They're finding this being affordable. So we're starting, I've run into people, there's a new house being built on Folsom Street that someone is gonna be building, so we'll see some construction out there. I'm expecting something to happen off of the Phelps area out there.
That was like 14 or 16 homes out there?
No, bigger development out there, so we're working on that. I haven't received the applications yet, but we are working on
That's
that.
good to hear.
So, getting some interest. Trying to think any other projects. We will have a meeting on the 12th. We do have an application
November 12th?
that we're working on, at the Old Whiskey Row and Chinese restaurant, so we'll be bringing that back to the commission, on the 12th.
Sean, before my time, did anything ever come about across from the college where the old Caltrans was? There was talk of a senior development going in there?
So that project I had an application, I was working with the developer, and unfortunately, the state changed all the rules on the tax credit program and the home program, which we were going to apply for. So we've kind of held off. The developer's known I've got a lot of changes going on right now, so he's like, don't worry about it. We'll get this thing, we'll process it maybe next year. And then we can hopefully apply, because then once we get it approved, I hate doing all these extensions on it. So hopefully we can get it approved, and then we'll be able to go after home funds. Then they can go after their tax credits, and we can get that project built. So that's one where, it's still in my office. Just, they'll have to refresh some of the plans a little bit, and then we'll get that moving. Self-help is looking to do a project off of, Cherry and Locust and that vacant lot back there. So we'll see maybe some homes built back there through their program. So there's a lot of movement on some things going on. We do need housing, and that's one thing that we're really trying to work through and really try to encourage.
So the 12th is gonna be, what's the agenda on that one gonna be?
It's for a project at the old Whiskey Row and Chinese restaurant.
Got it.
I will not be here on the 12th.
Okay. That trails are moving along. We're funded under over 90% of the trail. If you guys jump on the agenda from the October 3rd meeting, there's a full presentation, breakdown, funding, dates, all kinds of stuff on every segment of the trail. So it gives you a good overview of where we're at on all the projects. We're awaiting award potentially for the last segment, which will actually complete it if we get awarded at the state level.
Where are we at on the State Highway 19833 downtown?
So that project's still moving. I meet with them once a month, and that project's still expected to go out for construction sometime in summer of next year. So that's all moving forward. To cover on, what was it? Trees. Someone mentioned trees. You mentioned trees?
Yes.
Trees. So the city was awarded the CAL FIRE Urban Forestry Grant from about I can't remember exactly the number. It's $100,000 to almost $200,000. And we're going to be doing a full tree inventory and condition assessment of all of our trees. I'm already starting to get information from different arborists because they saw we were awarded, so they're reaching out to me, which is good because last time we tried to do a tree inventory, no one responded to our RFP. So we're going to do a full tree inventory, condition assessment. It includes about 60 new trees being put in, and it'll help us do some education with the schools as well as do a community planting day or a weekend or whatever. So we'll have funding for planting the trees themselves, the irrigation, and also to be able to try to recruit and advertise the event, maybe some refreshments, that kind of stuff for the folks that volunteer. Go ahead.
Is there any way of getting some of those trees planted out by the skate park where those kids are at, up by the skate park? Some kind of shade out there, maybe that.
We definitely have to look. It's gonna have to be we might be able to utilize them in park spaces because since it's a city award, it has to be on city property. But we haven't quite established exactly where those trees are gonna go. So if we're able to, those are suggestions definitely we can take. I think as we start doing the inventory, which will be the first part, we're gonna have it GIS mapped. So we'll really be able to kind of see where we're at, really give us a kind of a canopy of the city to identify where we have those deficiencies, and where we have really those hot spots, where we can try and address some of that urban canopy. This will dovetail into is this is in the end is they always want a little bit of planting in these initial planting grants. But the goal is that once we get this done, we get our urban forestry ordinance in place and everything, like with a tree list, so when developers build, we know what type of trees need to be put in. Then we go after the big tree grant that plants hundreds of trees. So that's the next grant. We originally weren't going to plant any trees, but our grant writers are saying you got to show that you're going to plant some trees in this planting grant because they like to see that in the application. So we did. So we'll plant a little bit of a few trees, but the next application cycle is when we really try to go after tree planting because we know we're probably gonna have to remove some trees.
Yeah.
And which I think from my perspective is sustainability for the community. So if trees die, they're not doing any good. They're actually more dangerous when they're dead than they are. Then just go ahead and plant them and maybe buy a nice bigger tree and put those back. So
What's going on? Okay, I know what's going on down here. 2 blocks, the whole road shut down.
Yes.
But they're digging everything up, so what's? is
So
there
they just
a
did it,
big
it's basically just a grind, no, it's just a grind and overlay.
Okay.
It's just the road was in that bad a shape, it looks like it's dirt. So we're doing a grind and overlay on Durian between 7th and Sunset. We're also doing, cedar, or not, birch between 4th and Sunset. And then also, Locust, not Locust, Lucille, out there between Monterey and Elm. So those are some really bad areas, and we just wanted to take advantage of having some, just do a small project that we really noticed some really bad alligatoring and bad asphalt conditions. So wanted to do something. We have a big slurry seal, Cape Seal project coming up probably in the spring of next year. Public Works crews are going to be out crack sealing probably in the next couple weeks, and they're going to be blowing and going for probably a good 4 months or so.
Across the whole city, or?
Yeah, and then we're gonna have about a $2 million slurry and chip seal project, or slurry and Cape Seal project.
And when will the unwired
Hey, you
broadband
want
be
me to call
finished?
this guy here to help do that?
What?
Want me to call this guy here to help do that?
Which guy?
This guy here?
Oh,
When will unwired broadband be wrapped up 100%?
that I can't tell you. They're getting close to being done with all the underground, like the major backbone infrastructure. They're already starting to connect folks up. I think they're already in their, I think October was the northern part of town, which was the latest month, I think. And I know that they're already starting to make connections in the Post Shanae area already. So anyone that's signed up, or if you haven't signed up, you can sign up on their website. And then basically, as far as I know, I mean, obviously I think people have posted their speeds. So there is services being connected. So that's what you're probably going to see for a while, is just those lateral connections to the homes. But for the most part, the backbone is relatively complete. They probably just got a few little areas they have to address, and it's probably areas where they haven't quite got the full permit from Caltrans to do all the work in the state highway right away.
So going out Jane, on the other side of the I-5, there's a lot of work going on. Is that part of what they're doing?
I don't think so. I don't know what work they're doing over there. I don't know if they're doing power upgrades out there, because PG&E's substation's out
It
there.
wasn't PG&E trucks, it was,
No, it wasn't PG&E trucks, it was something else.
Yeah, I'm not.
I thought it was unwired.
I thought it was too, but I didn't see an unwired truck.
Yeah,
There is some there's a couple what they call middle mile projects going on, which is like your big backbones. That could be it. I don't know what's going. I don't know what actually is occurring right there.
They were doing the same kind of drilling.
yeah, yeah.
Lateral drilling.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought.
That's why I assume.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. Anything else, Sean, you want to share with us?
I don't-
Anything you don't want to share that we will anyway?
No, everything else is going good.
How about the food court truck, or the food truck court?
We're actually working with Fresno State on that. So we've actually we reached out to Fresno State's engineering program, and they were graciously, open to, so the last couple semesters, we've worked with their class. They provided kind of a concept drawing for us. We've kind of given some feedback to them. They've given us like rough cost estimates. So it's kind of that engineering process. It's the senior class for Fresno State engineering program. And so we've been working with them on getting some preliminary, engineering. We may go beyond that and maybe hire some architects to kind of give us more of a complete final drawing. But they've given us a really kind of a basic drawing. I've still been in back and forth with them. And then hopefully we'll have some type of conceptual plan that we'll be able to present. And then from there, we'll be able to refine the project and get some feedback from the community and feedback from the council in terms of any changes, any amenities that we want there. And then we can get into kind of some final design, understand the cost estimates, and then we can potentially start getting to that final design where we can actually get this thing scheduled for bidding. I anticipate it taking a little while. I'm still getting my bearings here, and so we're hoping to bring on a planning consultant here in the next couple weeks to help alleviate some of the staff augmentation. You'll still see me at planning commission meetings, but you may have another staffer that'll be helping with the review, helping with staff reports. That's where it takes a lot of time, is to go through these reports and do the reviews. So they're going to help me out with that, but I'll still kind of maintain that director level. I'll still be the face here at City Hall. If someone walks in or has questions regarding general zoning questions, we'll be able to still kind of manage those here. But it's really that in-depth review, big master plan projects, site plans, use permits, those kinds of things you'll see. They'll be prepared by our planning consultant, so.
Sean, has the city made a move, the council made a move yet on what they're gonna do as far as going forward, a search, or,
I have not heard anything,
so
no.
they haven't made any moves yet?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
All right, anything, go ahead, Richard.
Pardon me, Ken?
Go ahead.
I just want, to let everybody know, that tower, what that tower's gonna do for the Elks. I don't know if you all know what that's gonna do.
But share with us.
I'm going to do that for you.
All right.
When they came to us, they wanted to lease our land, and so I was kind of up and trying to figure out if that was gonna be a good idea, cause anything I do with the Elks, it's gotta come back to the community. All of our money that we put it, that the Elks get, we put it right back in the community, nobody gets paid, so when I negotiated with them for $1,200 a month, then we went up to $1,400 plus $200 every piggyback that will come onto that tower. So that $1,400 is gonna go back into the community with fundraisers, with the grants that we do,
Scholarships.
the
and all
Easter
that
egg
stuff.
hunt, the scholarships. So, some people say, well, you guys are gonna make money off that. Well, the community's making money.
Yeah.
We don't keep a dime of that.
Yeah.
All gonna go back to our
When we
community.
say $200, so if there are 3 other providers come in,
Yeah,
that's
extra
$600
$600
per month.
per
on
month,
top of the
plus the
14.
14.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to let you guys know why that's a good idea for the Elks. In turn, good idea for the community, because we're gonna give it back
Yeah,
to our city. So I just
Thank
wanna
you.
tell you guys, thanks for helping us out on that.
good,
Thank you.
good job.
Yeah, it's been a long run. Me and Sean been working it, so, thanks, guys.
Okay, communications, we've had staff announcements, any other commissioner announcements? I have none, so we'll adjourn. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Well, thank you for.